What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another Seven Nights 2 video. And in today's video, we are going to be breaking down the first major update in Seven Nights 2. We have new story chapters, we have a new Legendary Plus character that's way ahead of schedule, we have a new character added onto the regular Legendary banner, we have some various in-game events, and much more. But before we do all of that, make sure if you guys haven't already done so that you smash that like button and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into today's video. Cue the intro. Alright, you guys, so like I mentioned in the intro to today's video, we are going to be breaking down the various in-game events and new content. So first up here, let's go ahead and talk about the new in-game events. So as you guys can see here, if you head over to your event tab, you will see that we have several new events to coincide with the update. So this is going to be our newest login event. This is going to be a 2-week long login, and as you guys can see, there are going to be quite a few goodies here. So if you take a look through here, there's going to be some runes, some elixirs, you're also going to have some legendary enhancement stones, some gold, and so on and so forth. However, the big thing is going to be that we are going to get a multi here for the equipment summons, a multi for the hero summons, a multi for the pet summons, and then right here we are going to get a pack box. This is going to be able to give us a summon voucher that can be used to summon a random legendary or rare accessory, so pretty much just another random ticket. And then the final reward is going to be this happy holiday gift chest. This thing is going to contain 700 rubies and 300,000 gold, as well as a multi for the pet summons and 2 special enhancement stones. So this is a pretty nice little package overall to round out this login, so good stuff in general. Next up here, we are going to have a new play event. This one is pretty much just going to give us various rewards as per tradition for doing these different in-game events, and then the final overall reward is going to be a legendary armor summon voucher, so that is pretty nice stuff overall. Next up here, we are going to have the events that are going to be tied to the newest characters, which we will talk about momentarily. So of course we have the Miss Velvet level up event. This is basically going to be a event that is going to reward those of you who pull Miss Velvet and build her up. So during the window that she is going to be on a rate up, you are going to be able to unlock these various items for leveling her up to the corresponding levels, and the same thing for our newest Legendary Plus character, which is of course going to be Knight of Light Rudy, which we again will talk about here. But yeah, Rudy, yeah, good stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be a talking point we'll get to, but in general, you guys, that is pretty much what you're seeing here as far as your new in-game events. Good stuff overall. It's always nice to get free stuff just for doing our dailies and doing our different in-game events. So as always, this game does tend to be pretty darn giving when it comes to the rewards. Now, before we move on to the rest of the update, there are a couple of issues and improvements that were made here when it comes to some of our missions for our monthly missions and our guild achievements that I wanted to go ahead and point out to you guys. So if you check this out over on the official forum, you will see that some of the monthly missions, when it comes to the Legendary 4 and the Legendary Full Party missions in particular, they did go ahead and lower the thresholds that we need to hit in order to clear these. So as you guys can see, the Legendary 4 has gone from 100 times to 80 times, so you only have to complete or clear a 4-player raid 80 times now in order to finish that off. And then when it comes to the Legendary Full Party mission, you only need to complete or clear an 8-player raid 20 times now, so that's a definite quality of life change that is worth mentioning. And then when it comes to the guild achievements, as you guys can see, this saw a major change. So basically for tier 1, it went from 150 times to 30 times when completing Field of Exploration. When it comes to tier 2, it went from 450 times to 90 times, and when it comes to tier 3, it went from a whopping 750 times to a much easier 150 times. So when it comes to these various events here, or these missions or what have you, they have lowered the thresholds for these. So that is something else I wanted to note here that is pretty important and definitely a majorly nice quality of life change to the game. So that is pretty much going to do it for that. Now, if you guys couldn't tell from the intro to today's video, there is new story mode. So if you guys take a look here, Chapter 10 is now available. It is available for easy, normal, hard, and very hard. So you can go ahead and start grinding on that, as well as getting some new in-game rubies. That is another nice thing about whenever they update these things, is you can always get some extra rubies, some extra in-game items, and so on and so forth. So you guys can go ahead and start playing this if you have finished Chapter 9 for any of these corresponding difficulties. So good luck to all of you. I had planned on going through because I'm still working on hard. In fact, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm on Chapter 6 right now, but mainly it's just because I haven't had time to grind it. I've been too busy trying to cover stuff on the other game that I cover here on the channel the past couple of weeks with the collaboration going on in that game. So I did plan on doing a lot of this weekend, and now that they've added Chapter 10, I have just that much more to do. So there's that. But that is pretty much what we're looking at as far as that's concerned, you guys. We do have Chapter 10 currently available, so definitely make sure that you guys are doing that. But the next thing that I want to talk about, of course, is going to be the new characters. So we are going to have 2 new characters that have been added into the game, and of course, they've gone ahead and netmarbled their game, because Netmarble's going to netmarble, and we have a new character in the form of Knight of Light Rudy, who is a Legendary Plus character that we did not expect this early. From my calculations, he's about maybe a month and a half early from what he was released in, as far as the schedule is concerned, in Korea. So now we have Knight of Light Rudy added into the game, which is going to be a very mixed bag. In my opinion, they are rushing things a little too quickly, because Netmarble, if you guys have not ever been familiar with any of their games, they do tend to have a bad habit whenever they release a game on global to try and rush out content in order to catch up to the Korean versions of the game, and it tends to be a bit of a problem for those of us in the global community, because at the end of the day, it completely turns the meta on its head, and it tends to rush the meta in really weird ways, and kind of gets to a point where it can be a problem, especially when you consider the fact that, as we've covered here on the channel in the past, these Legendary Plus characters tend to be like pulling teeth in order to get, so it can be extremely difficult unless you are wailing on these characters, especially with the rate up on this banner. It tends to be nowhere near as nice as what you see on these banners. So it does tend to be a bit of a trap, but when it comes to these characters, really, you guys, I don't think that you need me to tell you just how good Knight of Light Rudy is. If you're somebody that isn't necessarily engaged in what has been going on the Korean side of the game over the course of the past year, basically, to summarize here when it comes to what we've gotten with these new characters, is Knight of Light Rudy is a Legendary Plus character, like I mentioned, but when it comes to this character, he is an absolute monster. Knight of Light Rudy is going to be a tank, but he is going to be the best tank in the entire game. This is a character that is a firm upgrade over the other tanks that we currently have available. Of course, obviously, being that he is a Legendary Plus character, that goes without saying, but you have a character here that can absolutely carry your account. This is going to be a character that is going to be just deadly in Arena. He is going to almost be a must-have for Arena for top ranks. This is going to be a character that you are probably going to want to try and at least get in this rate up currently available, because honestly, as much as I try to tell you guys to try and skip that rate up banner because the rates on it are so bad, he is going to be a character that you're going to find is going to be a problem for you if you don't have him in things such as Arena. It isn't necessarily going to be as much of a problem in PvE, because obviously you can work around certain things, and if you have a specific boss you need to get past, there's always going to be answers. But when it comes to the PvP side of things, this is going to be a must-have character in my opinion, and honestly, you're probably going to notice that 9 times out of 10, if you face down a team that has this guy on it, you're going to be having problems against it. And in general, I can definitely see this guy causing a major shift in the PvP meta, but time will tell. However, if we take a look at the Korean side of things, even this far removed from his initial release on the Korean side of the game, this character is still extremely important and very much so used. So yeah, you guys, this is a future-proof character that has a ton of usefulness across the game, and I definitely think that if you have rubies to pull, as much as it's a trap to go in on that banner, You may decide not to, it's up to you. I'm still kind of on the fence myself, even saying this right now. However, when it comes to this character, he's just that good. I will be doing a full proper breakdown video later on these characters, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it at that because, again, I don't think you guys necessarily need me to sit here and tell you just how good this character is, because I'm sure you've already heard plenty of people tell you just how important he's going to be. Now, when it comes to his release, though, one thing I do want to mention, again, I have alluded to this and talked about this briefly here, but real quick, he is way ahead of schedule, and again, I don't necessarily think this is great for the game. The problem that Netmarble tends to have when it comes to the global side of things is they tend to rush out content, like I mentioned, and so when it comes to Rudy here, he is definitely going to be shifting things in a very unnatural way, just because he is going to be extremely early on for a release. Hopefully, this doesn't mean that Netmarble is planning on rushing Legendary Plus characters to us, because while there aren't necessarily that many Legendary Plus characters in the game on the Korean side, they do tend to be extremely powerful, as well as extremely premium and very tough to get. And when it comes to the other rate up banner that we have to pull these characters, as we've talked about in the past, that banner tends to not be something right now on the global side we can necessarily pull on very easily unless we're spending money, because really when it comes to that banner, we've talked about this if you guys haven't seen my video breaking down what you should be prioritizing when it comes to how you spend your rubies. The Legendary Plus selected rate up banner is the best way as far as the rates are concerned to get these characters. But of course, the biggest problem right now for those of us in global is going to be the fact that a lot of players still cannot clear tier 10 for some of the raids. So that is typically where you're going to be able to grind moonstones from, and that is the reason why on the Korean side of the game, people are able to pretty much grind out enough in order to go to pity on this particular banner every couple of months. But unfortunately, right now, we just don't have that option, or at least most players don't. So this is going to be an extremely difficult thing to achieve if you want this character right now in global. But really, when it comes to Netmarble, more than likely, what they're trying to accomplish is they're probably trying to get us to go in here and pick up some of these packs, because they probably want us to spend money on these things. And honestly, you guys, when it comes to these packages, I did some math on this the other day, and honestly, this stuff is extremely expensive when you start adding up how much it would take to spend in real life money in order to go to pity, much less a pity that isn't going to guarantee you anything. So in general, you guys, right now, I don't necessarily think that releasing Rudy was necessarily the best idea in the world, but it is what it is. That's the rate they decided to go, and to be honest with you guys, it's kind of a mixed bag, but good luck to all of you guys out there. Like I've told you in the past, if you did, again, watch that video on what to spend your rubies and your resources on, then you would know that if you actually go over here, you can go ahead and go to the Topaz shop and pick up the tickets needed for pulling on that banner. That is the reason why I told you guys that the only thing that you should be spending Topaz on in this game for this shop in particular is going to be on the selected rate up hero summon tickets. That is going to be of the utmost importance, and it's for times like these where they decide that they're going to randomly add in a major player for the meta like Legendary Plus Rudy, that you would want to go ahead and make sure that you have these things available to you. So in general, you guys, until we get a better way of going ahead and grinding those stones in order to pull on that banner, right now that is going to be the best option that you have for that particular banner. Otherwise, you can go ahead and try your luck at this one, and that is pretty much what you're looking at. Again, Rudy is extremely good. Do not sleep on him. Now, when it comes to the other new character that we have, so we do have the new legendary Miss Velvet. So this Miss Velvet is going to be a good character. However, I do have a caveat here. When it comes to this character, if you take a look through her kit, she is going to be extremely good as a DPS. This is going to be a character that is going to have that crit damage increase. She's going to have her attack ranged first priority there, which is going to be good against characters such as the legendary Claire that they recently released. She can silence enemies enemies, she has stealth, and so on and so forth. This character could be very good for a short time. However, this is not a character that is going to necessarily be future-proof. You know, when it comes to the short term here in Global, because we have a very limited character pool, this character can definitely do work in things such as Arena right now. However, this is going to be a character that is not necessarily, like I mentioned, going to age gracefully, considering the fact especially that Netmarble has decided that they want to start rushing out potentially these Legendary Plus characters, which does mean that here over the course of the next 60 days, this character could end up getting cycled out and end up being just a character that sits on your roster to help build up and bump up your overall account CP. So in general, I don't know necessarily that I can really recommend that you guys go too hard for her. If she's a personal favorite, obviously you always want to pull for your personal favorites, and while she is a really solid character, I like this character, I don't necessarily think that right now, being the fact that the climate is such as it is in Global, with what we are going to be expecting here in the near future, that you would want to necessarily prioritize her. Again, especially considering the fact that Netmarble is going to start kind of rushing things here and there, and we don't necessarily know the full extent of what they have planned with that. So really, it comes down to what you feel like you want to do here with this character. Again, I like her, but I don't necessarily think that I would be spending rubies on her right now, especially in light of the fact that we do have that new Rudy, and while that banner is a trap, this character is so good that honestly I would rather just take my chances if I wanted to spend anything right now, and that's pretty much how I feel about it. So anyway, you guys, I think that that pretty much covers the update. I don't necessarily think that there's anything major outside of that that we haven't already talked about and touched on. Like I told you guys, you want to make sure that you go ahead and play through chapter 10 on whatever difficulty it is that you can comfortably finish, so that way you can get those rubies for clearing those different chapters, and you can also go ahead and get whatever other items they are offering for clearing those. You also want to make sure that you pay attention to those in-game events and so on and so forth. And when it comes to the banners, like I said, this new Rudy, absolutely OP. You want to make sure that you try and get him if you can. However, if you just want to wait and play the long game and try to get him from this banner, then that's probably going to be the way that you decide to go. But in general, you guys, that is pretty much what you need to know. And then in the case of Miss Velvet, great character. Again, however, I do just fear for the fact that she isn't necessarily going to age the best, and that she is going to have a short shelf life as far as relevancy is concerned in Global, especially considering current events. But it's up to you. Again, if she's a personal favorite, then go ahead and pull for her. She isn't a bad character, and if we do end up with these characters, we'll do full breakdowns. But both of these characters are fantastic. It just really comes down to the fact that this Rudy is on a different planet when it comes to his overall capabilities versus her. So with that being said, you guys, as much as I've talked about this banner being a major trap, we're gonna pull, because we want to try and yeah, I woke up today and I decided to choose destruction for my account. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this, and if it ends up being lucky, then it ends up being lucky. I have a hard time believing that that will end up being the case, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip unless I see red, because honestly I'm not going to make this a 25-minute video summoning through all this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and burn rubies for Rudy, and yeah, end up extremely disappointed by the results. Now, at the same time, though, I definitely can use some soul stones for some of these characters, so I'm not necessarily all that upset if I don't get him, because I'm really not expecting to, especially given the fact that the rates on this banner, like I've mentioned to you guys, are extremely poor, and I've said that since day one. I've warned you guys. You can take my advice if you like, or you can watch me get completely shafted here, and yeah, you can learn from my mistakes either way. So it is what it is, but I'd rather use my rubies than you have to use yours, right? So it is what it is. But as you guys can see, we're just we're doing great. We're doing absolutely fantastic here as we continue to get nothing but dead multi after dead multi. The good news is we are getting close. We had already had a little bit of progress here on this banner, so that was nice. But again, I'm not expecting anything from this at all. But the nice thing is I will be able to kind of finish off and fully transcend most of my normal characters after doing this, more than likely. I've already seen a lot of soul stones that I needed to finish off a few characters, so that's nice. But yeah, when it comes to this banner, you guys, it's definitely a big trap, a big old trap. Like, they really do try to trap you with these Legendary Plus characters. If it weren't for the fact that I have a YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't even be doing this right now. But considering the fact that I do have a channel to consider, and you guys enjoy watching me spend rubies, as well as me having to potentially try to cover some of these characters, you know, I would rather go in on Rudy, like I've mentioned, and potentially get shafted than go for Miss Velvet and have a character that I'm likely not going to be using for very long. But with all that being said, you guys, this should be it. To be honest with you guys, we probably have a better chance of pulling the regular Legendary Rudy at this point than we have it hitting that 4% chance for the Legendary Plus one, but we'll see what we get here. And, yeah, it's not Rudy. Is that Yoon-hee? I don't recognize that, and she's like one of the only ones. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't recognize that, and she's one of the only ones I don't have, so yeah, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I don't have her. I'm gonna let this play through just in case, but I doubt we get anything else here. So we got Yoon-hee. I don't have her, but she isn't necessarily that great of a character, if I'm being 100% honest. You know, she's a decent character, but she's not a character that I'm going to go out of my way to build up, outside of just trying to go ahead and get myself my account CP built up just that much higher. So it is what it is. You know, we didn't expect to get him here, but you get what you get. So yeah, we got Yoon-hee, so that is who we get with our pity. So yay. So as you guys can see, that is why I do not recommend that you go in and you pull on this banner, because the odds of you hitting that 4% are very low. But hey, you might as well try right now, because later on, whenever this rate up goes away, of course his rates are going to be just that much lower. So good luck to all of you guys if you decide to pull on this banner. Like I've said to you guys already numerous times in this video, as well as that video I made breaking down how to spend your rubies, these banners do tend to be a big old trap with the rates. So good luck to all of you guys if you do decide to go in on that. But again, if you want to play it safe, I do not recommend it. But in general, you guys, that pretty much does it for the update breakdown. I think we've pretty much covered everything worth covering in today's video. Not a whole lot else needs to be said here. Like I said, you guys, Miss Velvet is a good character, but she's one of those single target DPS types that I would just go ahead and skip on if you want to go ahead and conserve your rubies for a better character later on. And then when it comes to the Rudy banner, again, a 4% rate is very, very low, and you want to be pretty careful with how much you spend there. So if you want to learn from my mistakes in this video, as I showed you guys, you're definitely not going to be guaranteed anything, and you're likely to end up getting shafted if your intention is to get Rudy. So at the end of the day, you guys, that's pretty much all I got to say in today's video. I hope you all found it informative. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. You all take care. Peace.
Continue.